Sorry I'm running a bit late. Cooking took a little bit longer. I went to, well, I say a new garden centre today. It was the garden centre on Cardiff Road that used to be Blooms years ago, right at the end of the old Cardiff Road by the roundabout. Linda was there last week getting some plants and bits and pieces and said, oh, it's a lovely garden centre. They've got a superb, you know, meat counter, butchers, and they've got, you know, so much, like a lovely deli counter and all the usual pickles, and then they had all the full range of the dry rubs, which I like for my barbecuing. Then they had all the barbecues and smokers. They had Weber, they had those Tradigo ones, they had the one that I've got, the new one, Grill Master or something anyway. But yeah, they had the lot there. So I had a look at the butcher's counter and it was lovely. And I bought, they were called lamb truffles. They look like lamb burgers with peppers on the top, very fine peppers on the top. And so I thought I'd put them on the barbecue, and I put a hot plate on as well on the side. I thought, cool, you know, if I'm going to flip those, I don't want all the little bits of pepper, do I? Flipping off. So I cooked the underside first, and then I put a hot plate on, and then I flipped them over. Oh, guys, they were called lamb truffles, right? They were like a lovely lamb burger, quite chunky. And then on the top, underneath all the very finely chopped pepper, I think there was a little well of cheese as well. Oh, come on. Unbelievable. It was lovely. And then the other thing I bought, I said, what do you want? They had these kebabs there, and they had, I don't normally buy these, guys, don't think I can afford these, no, but they had these fillet steak kebabs in black garlic. Now they were, you know, fillet steaks are only like, you know, small, so they had 4 of these on a kebab, some peppers and some onions, and in a black garlic. Now guys, they were 15 quid, right? Or they were 30 quid a kilo, I think. But I'm not joking. I could have had lamb as well, but the thing is with lamb, I would have liked lamb, but the thing is with lamb, you know, you don't get a lean, you don't get a piece of lamb like you get a bit of fillet steak, do you? You know, you don't get it that lean. Like, hello, whoa, Sledge is in the house. Well done, Sledge. Do I have any trout recipes? Yeah, swap it for Chinese. I think that's my favourite trout recipe. I'm not a fan. Saying that, I had some going back about a year or so ago, and I filleted. I was being really picky, and I had some, and I had a little bit of what's the white sauce? Is it sauce Bernays? Is it with it? Oh no, hollandaise sauce. And I had a bit of like the loin, you know, across the top of the rib cage, that loin there, and I had a bit of that. And I really quite liked it, but I don't know if the wife was that fussed, you know, but anyway, it was lovely. But guys, back up by Big Plums. Can you fly, Bobby? I'd buy that for $1. Well done, Barry Big Plums. Chad, top man in the world, and that's a line from a famous, I don't know, is it 80s or 90s film? And I'll tell you what it is now. Don't tell me, can you fly, Bobby? Oh no, I said, come on, can you fly? Oh no. It's the best film in the world. Number 1 and number 2 was okay, 3 was crap. RoboCop, thank God for that. Thank God for that. Thank God for that. So Barry Big Plums, can you fly, Bobby? Yes. Anyway, swap it for Chinese. Yes, good. And Barry Big Plums is in the house. John Evans is in the house. Well done, John. So guys, I gotta fillet. I got this kebab now. 4 fillet steaks, bits of pepper, you know. I wouldn't put pepper on myself, but it was actually quite nice, okay, and bits of onion, and it was quite dark. It was in a black garlic, and I just put it on the barbecue. Now, we also had sourdough bread to start, chopped up, with some bread dipper. It's like oil balsamic, and this one was oil balsamic garlic, an original, okay, and like probably done half a loaf, yeah, you know. And like, if you're a bit of a foodie, what don't you do before you like have some nice food? You don't have half a loaf of bread, do you? Because you can't move, it's too much. But that was lovely as well. Then we had these like lamb, they were called lamb truffles, they were stunning. And we just had some of the fillet steak kebab, so they were 30 quid, I think, a kilo. So we had one because there was like 4 little mini steaks on, so it was 15 quid. But when I had 4 little mini fillet steaks on that, which tasted superb. So yeah, so, and there's still a few. I left them on the hot plate because the wife was having a bit of a moan. I'm full now. So yeah, I might have a munch in a minute, guys. Okay, but stunning. Okay, guys. So that was good. Let me have a slurp, guys. So guys, I was up early. I finished about 30-40 red flash dams. I done another 2 mixes. Well, no, I went to the garden centre at 10 o'clock and got back at 12, slacking my wallet a bit, and then I epoxied then till about 3:45, and then we listed some flies and what have you. So it was like 5 o'clock. I haven't even got the barbecue warmed up, so that's why I'm running a bit late, guys. But taste is superb, guys, superb. We got John Evans, Steve Smith, top bloke in the world, Steve. Hi, Chuck Fluffer. When a fishery stocks fish, do they stock the hardest fighting fish? If so, how do they know if their fish are the Mike Tyson in their waters? Well, I think with that, Steve, I mean, I think the hardest fighting fish can depend on different conditions. If it's cold, it's in the winter, you know, rainbow trout like cold water. That's why our rainbow trout fisheries suffer in the summer. They don't like warm water, you know, they get a little bit of white on them, they don't want to chase. So I think every fishery is to its own. I think in good weather conditions, all these fish fight really well. And when I've spent like the last, well, quite a long time, you know, fishing big fish venues and things like that, when me and the wife and Peter and Sharon went to, I keep thinking Malvern, it's not Malvern, it's where Tom Kerridge's restaurant, and I went for my birthday, and we went up there, we came back to a little fishery, Reading Way, and the fishery there were only about, and it's because we ate Friday night, we stayed Saturday night. So the Saturday morning, me and Pete went off to that little fishery there, Barn Elms, is it, I'm thinking? And the fish were only £2 or £3. You know, guys, they fought their heart out, they really did. So I think weather conditions, guys, I think cold water, rainbow trout fight hard. Sometimes in warm water, you know, the trout don't like it. I think on some of my videos I've hooked a fish at a rod length, and that's as far as it gone. But it's just conditions, guys. Okay, weather conditions anyway. But there we are. But that's so I don't think there is any Mike Tysons all year round. Perhaps there's a couple of Mike Tysons 3/4, and then I think a bit slower when the water gets warm. But good question, Steve Smith. Grandad Chris, evening Martin, it's the latex bandit here. Yeah, evening Chris. I hope you're using lots latex. Did you tell me you had to use Vaseline to get it on because it was a bit tight because you put a bit of weight on? We don't want to see a picture of that because it'll look like a very small sock full of conkers, Chris. But Grandad Chris, top man. Guys, watch his YouTube posts as well. Well done. Oh, Nev Snowden. When did I send Nev? Nev's in the house. I think I sent Nev some flies yesterday or today. Well done, mate. Oh, this one looks good. Shana said hi. Hi, guys. Between me and you, I think I've pulled Shana. Hi, Shana. Marlow. Steve Smith Marlow. That's where it was, Steve. Yeah, Marlow. I loved that food so much. It was so tasty. It cost a couple of quid, but it don't matter. I think it was my 50th or 50th. Was it my, no, it can't be my 50th. I'm 57 now. It was my birthday in March, and that's where we went. But we had a wonderful time, and Peter and Sharon organised it all wonderful. Grandad Chris, Testwood on Saturday. Yeah. What are the chances of a mayfly hatch? That would be some sport on the surface. I don't really know. I don't think that... Well, saying that, you've got the river that runs alongside it, so there might be a mayfly hatch. You never know. I thought I saw one the last time we was there. I'm not really sure, but I thought I saw one the last time we was there. But that would be nice. That would be nice, mayfly hatch. Are you with us on Saturday, Chris? I'm not sure anyway, but because we've got Saturday, we've got me, Peter, Paul, Clive, Gizzer, Alan, one more. Canvy's finest, Mark Osborne, who is still the current Chalk Springs champion. So yeah, good. Looking forward to that. A little slurp here. Guys, we'll have to do a real big meetup once. I know it's awkward because everybody lives far away, but you know, if we organise it 6 months in advance, we could organise it now, couldn't we? A Christmas bash, and you know, let's get it on, guys, because you know, I have some, you know, lovely friends, lovely fishing mates and what have you, so that's why I always like to stay over and we have a laugh and a joke and some food and some drinks. And hey, and fishing with me now is I haven't got to catch the biggest now, just having a good time with all you good guys is it's what it's about, isn't it? You know, it's what it's about. Cause we've lost a couple of our good friends, you know, lately. So yeah, fishing and having fun is what it's all about, guys. Yeah. Grandad Chris, yes sir, casting arm twitching as we speak. Chris, are you coming Saturday with us? Because if so, I've got a mega cocker. But let me know. But we'll sort it, mate. Right, guys. Anyway, so guys, what have we got here? A couple of questions. Someone's asked about how to attach the leader, your fly leader, on the end of your fly line, the loop. Okay, now what I do is a straight tie to the loop. Okay, the same knot as I tie to my fly, like a 7-turn blood knot. Okay, exactly the same. Chris, let me know, mate. Did you book in with me or did you book in with Nigel? Let me know, mate. Yeah, so sometimes you can buy tapered leaders, can't you? Which at the thick end of the tapered leader is probably £20, okay? And it's got a loop in. So when you've got a loop in the end of your fly line and you loop to loop, so you put the loop through, pull it through, pull the tag in, loop to loop. So that loop to loop is like that. Now if you was loop to loop in, say, 10-pound leader, when you pull that loop down against the loop on your fly line, okay, it'll pull reasonably tight. Okay, if you've got a tapered leader, which is say 20-pound, it won't pull down so tight, okay, because it's thicker, okay, and it might kink off to the side a little bit. And what you got to be careful with, guys, okay, is that if that loop is kinked to the side, it can cause line twist, because it's kinked to the side. When you pull your fly through, it can start to rotate a little bit, okay, not always, but it can do. And then what you end up getting then, you get line twist, you know, and once you've got line twist, it can be a nightmare. Again, I think we talked about line twist before, you know, like, and I used to hear nightmare stories. Come on, Pep, the Jessie, you can hear nightmare stories of people saying, oh yeah, I tie my line the length of the garden and pull it straight and things like that. It's not the way, guys, because like I say, your fly line is plastic coated. Inside your fly line is a core, you know, to give it strength, which is like a bit of string, if you like that same sort of thing as backing. So by tying it the length of your garden and pulling the guts out of it, if you break that core, you know, what are you going to get then? Hinging, no good. But yeah, going back to the and I don't see any quickness or any time quickness. You know, if you've got to mess around tying a loop, you know, in the end of a leader to do a loop to loop fitting, it's just as easy to tie a knot on the end of your fly line. So I just tie a 7-turn blood knot to the end of my fly line, to that loop, okay, and the same to the fly. Now what you get, because of the end of your fly line, obviously it's all plastic coating and the loop is welded. If you imagine they've got that material and it comes back round and it's like welded sort of together, so it's stuck together. Eventually, from tying your knot, you know, you'll start cutting through, and sometimes it starts cutting through very, very quickly and all that. But don't worry, because the inner core is the strongest part. And then after a while, if it gets very bad or snaps, then about that far down where the sort of splice is and the thick bit is, you can cut that off then and then put one of those hollow braided loops on. So that's that, guys, that's that. Let's have a look here. Oh, John Evans, Testwood on Monday. Well done, John. I hope you have a good day. John's in the house. Well done, mate. Yeah, Grandad Chris, let me know, mate. Did you book it with me or did you book it with Nigel? Because I don't think I got you on my list, mate. Anyway. Steve Smith, please look out for a parcel this week. I'm sending you a box of the following: the genuine Kentucky Fried Chicken coating from the Sun in Ireland of the late Pat Grace. Contents to follow. Steve, you're a wonderful, wonderful person, mate. Yeah, we need to do more fishing together with you, Steve, because you're such a nice guy, and well, you're one of my friends, so yeah, we need to do loads of fishing. All right, Steve Smith, original KFC coating, the hot and spicy blend, and of course the original KFC gravy. Oh, that's pure filth, that is. I wouldn't mind some of that. Yogurt, and then it says Germany. Don't know who that is, but hello to Germany. Right, so let's have a look here. Oh, the pup's having a bit of a scrap. Do you know? Yeah, pup's having a bit of a scrap. So what have we got here? So slip, guys. I got a second wind. I can eat a bit more of that steak guy, you know. Right. Someone says you, how long have I been tying flies? Right, guys, I'm 57 now. So the river that runs close to my house now, where like you see loop gator cats, loads of stunning fish. That's where I started my trout fishing, and I was a member there when I was a junior. No, I don't think there was any other junior members because every other kid used to poach it. But my birthday's March 19th. So the season started, I think, March 8th, March 10th. So I used to get my season ticket for my birthday off my mum and dad, which in those days, I'm thinking was about 11, 12, 13 quid. And the stock size was 9 inches. Hang on. Stock size was 9 inches, okay? And it was great. It was great. Back in the day then. So I had a few flies then, okay? But not many. I had to go to the local tackle shop and get a few flies. I didn't know what I was buying, did I? Just bought a few dry flies. And there was a lad, Dave Terrell, who follows me now. He used to sort me out with a few flies, and I had a fly tying kit for my Christmas present, so that would have been the year after. Okay, so from a shop that shut down years ago in Newport, I think it was called Noel Triggs, and I think it was a Vineyards kit back in the day. So I didn't know what I was doing, did I? So Dave showed me. So I had some like brown hackles, brown seal's fur, ginger seal's fur. That's all I had. So I used to like put a few hackle fibres as the tail, dub some seal's fur as the body, and then a big hackle on the front. And I mean, it might have been that big, but I didn't know, did I? But I caught trout. I think I caught something like 30 fish in my first season. I was so chuffed with all the other guys like weren't catching that much, and there's a couple of other junior members which were mates of mine. I think Graham Ransom, I think, was a member there, but there wasn't many junior members because I don't think junior members start off with trout fishing, don't they? Start off on the canal and what have you, like I did as well. But yeah, but that was good. So let's talk years, guys. 57 now. Say 14. So my God, could be 43 years I've been tying a few flies. Now let's say a bit longer tying. So let's say it wasn't long, I was still a junior. 15, yeah, 42 years. But I was tying, like they just looked like they were about the size of a conker in its shell. But I caught fish on them, you know. I caught fish on them anyway. But so yeah, over 40 years. Over 40 years. What do we got? James Sylvan's in the house. Hello, James. Could just nail knot the butt end of your leader rather than loop to loop. Yeah, but the problem is with that, with a nail knot. I think with a nail knot, you have to keep, let's say that snapped close to the end of the fly line. Then again, I think a little bit of fly line you might have ruined, so you've got to cut that bit off and then do another nail knot. And if you've got to change that whole leader again. So I think what we used to do, something similar to that, is nail knot a short piece of heavy line, say about, we didn't have very heavy line back in the day, but a piece of heavy line, say 15 pound, and then put a loop in that and then connect our cast to that, because I think if you keep cutting back on your fly line, it's not so good. But yeah, I know what you mean, mate. I know what you mean. Grandad Chris, I will message you in the morning. Grandad Chris, you can do it now if you want. But yeah, no problem. Sledge fly fishing. Problem with damaging the fly line loop is that it can then start to soak up water and start sinking. Floating line being the worst. Possibly guys, but if you've cut off the end of your, you know, there's your fly line with a braided loop, sorry, with the loop built in, okay? So if you cut that, that's what you've got. So then to that we're going to add a braided loop like that, which is quite easy, which is held on with a bit of silicone and a bit of super glue. So I think if you was using a super fine line, it could be an issue. But I think the thing to do with that, you can get different, and I don't, you know, you can get different types of braided loops. You can get sinking and floating and all that. I've got a feeling all that is a load of pants, really, because it's all braided material. So the sinking ones and the intermediate ones tend to be white or dark grey, and the floating ones tend to be like high-vis yellow and orange. But I think it's all the same material. But if you want to stop that, if you just gink up the end of that loop with something a bit thick like muslin or something like that, I think, you know, that will stop the end of that. And then when you think, if you've got a weighted fly on the end of your leader, is that going to cause the tip to sink a bit? Probably so, a little bit. So yeah, I don't think that's a major issue, but yeah, put a floating high vis braided loop on, because the thing is with a high vis braided loop, then the end of that acts as a bit of an indicator, you know, so you can see that bright orange, say I like to use, or yellow, but if you can see that, you know, twitch like that, so that acts like a bit of a, you know, an indicator on the line. But you know, good question. Steve the Curry, look up the last one. Is that the film? The series? Because if it is, I think that's great. Or Grace, he was a great friend of the colonel who gave him the recipe so Pat could start a franchise in Ireland. If you're eating KFC in the UK, you're 99% eating that blend. Well done, Steve. Can't wait to get the recipe. Well done. Grandad Chris, I booked directly with Nigel. Dazzler Darren pulled out and I took his slot. Problem with that, Chris, is I booked all 6 rods in myself. Darren told me he couldn't go, so I booked someone else in. So Chris, that's a bit awkward. You should have come to me, mate, okay? You should have come to me. I booked all 6 rods in. Darren pulled out because I booked all 6 rods in. I don't want Nigel to be let down. I filled the big man's space. So yeah, message me in the morning, because there might not be a space. All right, okay, but you should have come to me, mate. All right, okay. Team Sonic the Hedgehog 3, hi. Oh, Team Sonic the Hedgehog is. Guys, I think I got more questions, haven't I? Yeah, right. So we got the leader loop. We've done how long have I been tying. Rod holder. Someone asked what rod holder do I use. The one I use is a Witchwood rod holder, and it's a bit like a great big golf club in it, where it's got the reel, it's got the end part, you know, where the reel fits. So it's like that, isn't it? The rod goes in and the reel can stay on because the reel goes in there. So if you imagine, well, my rod's a 9'6", but you get a case for a 10-foot rod. So a 10-foot rod in half, obviously 5 foot. Okay, so you're looking then for a 5 foot or a rod case that will take up to a 10-foot rod, okay, in 2 pieces. But I think you'll search the world and won't find them. So if you imagine that's my 9'6" rod, okay, I got the reel on and I've wound up the leader all the way through, and at the end of the tip ring, okay, I have my fly, which I always hook in a bit of foam. So then I pull the rod apart and fold it in half. So my 9'6" rod then, okay, is half. So then I can push it then down in that, from that end, down in the rod holder with the reel on the back. Now, because I used to work, you know, in the tackle shop in Gary Evans, the problem was anything over a metre was an absolute nightmare to send via courier and things like that. I think it was over a metre anyway. And a lot of rods now are 4-piece. So having a 4-piece rod in a rod holder is fine. I'll show you guys. Okay, but that was, let's say, my 10-foot in half. Now the 4-piece rod holder is like that, isn't it? So let's say that's 10 foot in 4 pieces. That's fine. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and you've got your reel in it, okay? But if you try and break down a 4-piece rod with the line still on it, it's doable, no problem, but it's prone to tangling. It's really prone to tangling, guys, okay? So the 2-piece, I wind my line, I hook a piece of foam, you might have seen me, a bit of ether foam in the fly hook. I wind it up to the top ice with stops, okay? Just taut, break the, pull the rod apart, break it in half, wind up any slack, put that in the rod holder. When I come to go fishing, pull it out, okay? The 2 pieces, push it together, okay, so that's done. But remember, guys, if you do that, never ever grab the end of the fly like that, okay, say like that, and pull the line down. You'll snap your rod. It happens, I don't know why. So go to the end of your fly rod, pull your leader out like that, then do it. But if you try to do it from the end like that, you tend to snap rods. It just goes through an unnatural test curve. You know, and I've seen it. I've viewed every excuse in the world, haven't I, in being in the tackle shop and all that. But when people tell you it happens, you know, people don't know. But guys, take it from me, don't ever wind up pull the rod, and don't ever like, oh, bend the rod. Look at that snap. It doesn't naturally bend at that particular test curve, guys. Okay, so answer to the rod tube question is that I know Luke bought some, but I think he had to send away from, I think it was Germany, I think it was. He got them 2-piece. I think he ordered 10 foot, and I think they sent him 9'6". Like, mine doesn't do up, the zip on mine doesn't do up very tight, but you know, it is just easy, and it's padded, it's protection, and it's quick out, you know, away. But so what you need, guys, is a padded case with the reel section on the back that will take a 10-foot rod in 2 pieces. But I think you'll struggle to get them. I think you're going to find millions of them. Orvis do them in 4-piece. Everybody does them in 4-piece. But I don't see a great advantage, because you've got, you know, break, up and then break again, and they are prone to tangling, guys. But yeah, it is that. But yeah, so what you need to do is try and find some 2-piece tubes with the reel holder. Okay, I'll show you mine. I'll grab mine out of the garage because it's about 20 foot away now. Bear with me. No birdies. Right. So there's mine, guys. Okay. So that's stood on the floor there now. So mine is, I think mine was borderline. I think mine was a 9'6" in 2-piece. So there we are. Look, see. So that one there is my intermediate line. That one there is my floating line. These are a match pair of the first Hardy Syntrex blanks to come out, the Zenith, and the pair are 9'6". So you are, look, so as I pull mine out of there, look, there's the fly on the sinking line. That's that skinny black snake I think I used at Manningford with a bit of foam so the hook doesn't get caught, guys. The line is taut. Okay, and that goes back in. There we are. There's my floating line, which I didn't have a bit of foam for, and I can see the hooks caught in a bit. So there we are. There we are. But yeah, it is easier, guys. It is easier. But yeah, these were Witchwood, but I think like most of these rod cases, like 30 quid. I can remember when I was in the trade, they were selling them off. They were like, wow, ridiculously cheap, like 7 quid. I grabbed one for me and Reg, and I think Brian had one, or what have you. But yeah, because that's hard, you know, 2 hard plastic tubes there covered, and then padding where the reel is. So yeah, they are great. But I think I could probably try and find out, but I think they were from Europe or Germany or something like that, where Luke bought them. But you know, most of these, you know, that's probably like 25-30 quid, something like that. Double's fine, but you know, you could pay that much in courier postage, because that's what it is, isn't it? You know, you try to send that in the UK now, and that's expensive because of the UK postage restrictions on the length. And then coming from Europe, it will be a lot more, but they are easy, guys. All right, so that's that. Oh, there's one more question there. Let me have a look. Yeah, Team Sonic Hedgehog, which is your favorite character in Sonic the Hedgehog? I've never watched Sonic the Hedgehog. I don't know nothing about Sonic the Hedgehog, so I think, guys, I think Mr. Sonic Hedgehog 3, I think you're following the wrong post. But you're welcome to carry on, but I know nothing about Sonic the Hedgehog. I follow Hedgehog Man on the dark side of YouTube, and he's really good, but I know nothing about Sonic the Hedgehog, guys. Sergio Galan, can we use fly fishing in salt water? Yeah, you can. Fly fishing in salt water, I noticed, was getting very, 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 very popular when I was in the tackle trade, and it still is now. Like, you know, like Luke and one of his friends, they fish for bass and mullet and things like that. And Paul has a go with him. I think Paul's off with Sasha now. He's gone abroad with Sasha now. Yeah, that's it's fine. But I think it's what I noticed with like saltwater fly fishing, the people used to fish like the deep rocky marks, especially in Ireland. They would have saltwater kits, and they'd have to buy super fast sinking dye 7 lines to get down deep to fish for the pollock off the rocks, which is great fun. You don't need fast sinking lines like that for mullet, you know. The only thing with saltwater gear. The rods are okay. You can use, I've got saltwater rods when I've gone to Cuba and things like that. I got the, and there was a rod, the Airflow Bluetooth, which I think is still available now in probably a newer version. But it was a great value rod. It's a 4-piece rod which comes in a smaller tube, and it fits in one of the fishing suitcases which you could take on the plane. It goes underneath, there's a zipper compartment underneath, close on the top, and that was the Airflow Bluetooth. And with your saltwater fishing, I think really got two options with that. If you're just playing around with it and what have you, you can buy a plastic type of reel, okay, which will cost you 30 quid, but try and get one that's got a sort of seal drag system, okay. Other than that, the option is, if you buy an all metal construction reel, make sure you buy you know, a good one. Well, I've got an old Sierra XDP, which was about, back in the day, 100 quid, you know, but anything saltwater, you know, make sure you rinse it off all the time, especially the bearings, and wipe down. Even my saltwater rod, you think you've washed them, you know, when you finish, when I'm coming back from Cuba, you put them in the shower and whatever, you wash them. But if you don't check them, when you look at the little eyes on them, you get this little bit of blue, you know, like type of rust, I guess, you know, like from the salt water. So you really got to look after anything saltwater, especially if you've got an all metal construction reel that's not salt water. You get salt water into the clutch or into the bearings and the guts and the workings of that, you know, that'll seize, you know, quite easy. So wash everything off, a little bit of oil on the bearings here, but yeah. And then with saltwater fly lines, I don't think it's a major issue if you use normal lines in the UK. I think saltwater lines are more applicable if you're going, you know, to the Caribbean, or you're fishing very shallow warm water flats for bonefish, jacks and things like that, where the water is very warm and it makes your fly line go very limp. So that's why you need a proper saltwater line, and there's lots available. Airflow do an absolutely great range of saltwater lines. They do cold water saltwater lines, which are great for the UK, which you could get in like floating, intermediate, dye 3, dye 5, dye 7, so all the different sink rates. And they used to do a tropical range, which then is more applicable for going abroad. But they used to do real specialist lines for boat fishing abroad, which we talked about the core of a fly line being very strong. They used to make lines that were super fast sinking, say for going down deep on the boat, for fishing around one of the buoys, say for wahoo, like a dye 7, but the core on the line would be 3 times stronger than the core of a normal fly line. So yeah, you know, and Rio do a great range as well, but I was always happy with the range of Airflow saltwater lines. And Colin Thomas at Airflow always used to look after me as well. So heads up to Airflow, heads up Colin Thomas, long live the Viking. I haven't spoken to Colin for a while. I'd like to speak to Colin actually. So Colin, if you're about, get in contact, mate. You're a good guy, always have been a good guy. So yeah, we've still got one question to go. What have we got? Whoop, John Rudman's in the house. Well done, job. John, do you know if Letchley will open this year? I had a phone call. This year off. Who did I have a phone call off this week? Sorry. I think it was John Evans, I think. And he said, was it John Evans or was it Richard Wilkins? I can't remember. I had a message saying that they'd spoke to Tim recently and they've said Letchley and Bushyleys will not be opening for trout fishing this year. So there we are. Nice to know what's happening there, you know. We'll see. I've heard rumours, but there we are. So yeah, John, as far as I know, they are not opening this year. I've been told by someone who was told by Tim. I hope you're well, Tim, as well. Steve Smith, Steve the Curry's in the house. Woo-hoo. John Evans, I brought a double case by Witchwood for our 3-weight river rods. Yeah, now that's 4-piece, see, break down to 10 foot from Sportsfish, 40 quid. So yeah, that's fine, but like I said, that's 4-piece. But while I look at that, if you buy a rod and it comes in a tube, you've got protection. If you buy a padded rod case like that in a tube for a 4-piece rod, the only advantage you've got, really, it saves you putting the reel on the end. Yeah, I suppose that's fine. But you know, if you leave it set up, I always found, well, other people told me they always found it was prone to tangling, John. But yeah, which one is the one I've got? But I know the 4-piece is the newer variety, mate. Yeah, the newer version. 2 secs, guys. I quite like this. Pinot Noir, Californian, Copper Mountain. Come on, the Marks and Spencer's order. Linda, do you want a glass of wine? I'm a bit gutted about the IPL cricket, cancelled to what's kicking off in India as well. 2 secs, guys. 2 secs. It's lovely smell. I haven't given my birds their supper yet. Come on. Come on. Right. Let's give the birds their supper. Our temperature's dropping now, guys. Our temperature's dropping now. Right, so what have we got? John Evans, yes he was, mate. Sergio Galan, thanks for your answer, sir. God bless. You're welcome anytime. Join us anytime. But the Airflow, I think, still do the Bluetooth range. It might be a Bluetooth Mark II, what have you now. And it was a perfect saltwater rod. And I mean, mine, well, they used to do, I think, 4 different line ratings. They used to do an 8-9, 9-10. I think that was the heaviest at the time, 3 ratings. I'm not sure if they down to 11-12, which is like poker stiff. But you know, if you're going for really big fish, that's what you've got to have, you know. So, but then remember, when you have a, you know, the bigger line rating you have, or if you're going for bonefish and things like that, you know, you need, you know, saltwater reel, like I said, but you need a reel that then will take, they say, up to 200 yards of backing for bonefish. If you was going for billfish or wahoo on fly gear, you certainly need a reel that would, you know, take more backing. So you might have a sort of like a 9-10 rod, but you might have a slightly bigger reel to get the amount of, you know, gel spun backing on and the line, because you need a lot. And then just be careful when you join your backing to the back of your fly line for saltwater fishing, because, you know, that has to be right. I seen someone do it once where they sort of stripped the core off the fly line, the plastic, and then joined the, sorry, they stripped the coating, the plastic coating off the fly line, and then done a special knot of the braided back into that. So that was, the backing was tied direct to the fly line, because you can imagine possibly doing a knot with braided gel spun backing to the coating of a fly line. If it was that, you know, tight, or the fish was that big, it could pull that off. So that's something you probably look into. I don't think that's needed with bonefish. I think with my saltwater lines, I'd just tie direct to the braided loop on the back of the airflow lines. I think I've got a tan coloured bonefish one, and I think I think I got an intermediate one, which I don't think I've used. I don't think. Yeah. So yeah. Oh, blackbird is singing. Wonderful. It's lovely now, but that temperature is starting to drop, guys. It's okay at the moment. Okay at the moment. And the last question I've got. Well, hang on. Sledge fishing to the house. I live near the Portsmouth coast and have seen people fly fishing with bass and mullet in and around the harbours. I want to give it a go one day. Yeah, guys, get in contact with my bestest mate, one of my bestest mates, Luke Gator, full on fly fishing, because he's fly fishing for mullet at the moment. He's caught some bass, and one of his friends that he fly fishes with is an expert. So yeah, get in contact with my mate Luke Gator from Full On Fly Fishing. Watch his videos as well, and yeah, contact him. Yeah, mention my name, Top Bloke Luke Gator, but he'll put you right as well. You know, other than that, who else do I know fishes for mullet? Would be wow, I can't think, guys, at the moment. I can't think of his name. Can't think anyway. But yeah, contact Luke Gator, and he'll help you out with fly fishing for mullet. And I think a lot of fly fishing in the UK, you know, a lot of the fly fishing where Luke is fishing in, well, like I've said, the River Ebro here, but he's fishing the River Ebro where it goes into the Bristol Channel, which is a couple of miles away. So these mullet and bass are coming up on the tide, you know. So I think with, well, like Luke said, it's all about getting the right tides, the right time of the tides as well. You know, it's no good going on the river, it's a tidal area possibly if it's low tide. So, but when the tide's coming up the river, then the fish are coming up with the tide as well. So I think with fly fishing for mullet is getting the right state of tide and the right size of tide and time of tide as well. But I think that all comes from experience. You can't just hope to be lucky, you know. I know people who've got these, you know, like the Arrowsmith tide books, and which give you exact time tides, high and low water twice a day, and the size of the tide, and that's great. We used to call them like little fishing Bibles. You know, you can write down every, you know, little report on there. You might go fishing in the river and it might be 11.2 meter tide. You could write down no fish came up. You might say it was a 13 meter tide, a big tide, lots of, you know, water coming up the river, loads of fish showing. So that's always, I think, the best thing to know. And you don't even know that from going and trying and making notes, you know, because you could think, oh yeah, I fished this week on high water and it was brilliant. Well, I went next week at high water and it was no good. But the depth of tide could be a difference of 2 or 3 meters, you know. So with fishing like tidal estuaries, always keep a, you know, you can buy one of those Arrowsmith tide books. They cost about 4 or 5 quid, something like that, and you can make a note on, like, and it's a Bristol Channel tide table. Yeah, so whether there's a more national one, but yeah, get an Arrowsmith tide table or a tide book, and you can make all your notes. Yeah, you can make all your notes. What have we got? Nev's back in the house. I've seen someone over Hailing Island, Langstone, Harborside, lowish tide. Yeah, again, we are talking, you know, I think you get some of these people. Luke knows from one of his friends. I think it's Hector. I think Luke will tell you. But I think it's Hector. But he knows when to go, what tides to go. But that will vary in every different place, whether you're fishing the River Ebble towards the, you know, Lavernock Point at Penarth, or Plymouth or Portsmouth or Weymouth, you know, so that will vary. So I think anybody who's keen to have a real good go, Baz I was thinking for, contact Baz. He catches a lot of mullet on the fly and what have you. But yeah, so, but I think you need to find someone in your particular area, or someone who's very good at it, you know, to find out where to go, because I don't think it's a case of just rocking up and fly fishing in the sea for mullet or bass. I think you need to know times, tides, when the fish are likely to be running, and so on, you know. And I think it's the same with most sea fishing, you know, whether you're, like if I went down the seawall here, the Bristol Channel, looking for cod now, and it was low water, well, I wouldn't even see any water, because the Bristol Channel has the second, you know, highest rise and fall of tide, but so I'd need to go over high water. So yeah, I think that's applicable to all venues, all different places, guys, you know. All right. Guy, and the other question I've got here, my top 5 flies. Wow, that's a good question. That's a good question, because 20 years ago I'd have picked my top 5. And what I like about this, Chad Barry Big Plums, he always does a little like top fly review most years, you know, and thank God mine are in there. But I think one of his top flies is like the black leech and things like that. But top 5 flies, as material changes, methods change over the years. There's my pigeons. Come on, come on. As my pigeons. Yeah, as different fly patterns changes, different methods changes. And I like to think I've done quite a lot for different fly patterns over the, you know, 5, 10, 20 years, whatever. Because I see everybody in the world copying them now, and suppliers saying this copper material is the best seller. No one bought copper years ago, did they? Until I started tying stalking flies and long cast flies, which is good. But top 5 flies, like I said, if you went back 30 years, didn't you, and say you was looking at lures 30 years ago, people would say the Viva, because that was the black and green fly. The white fly, was it a missionary or was it an appetizer? Another black fly, the ace of spades. Oh, how many big fish have we caught on ace of spades? Well, not so many big fish, but how many fish have we caught on ace of spades lure? Double ace of spades we used to use on the reservoirs years ago. Great big things. And then you've always had the hazier as well. You've always had the pheasant tail, and you've always had buzzers. But they're not stalking flies, are they? They're not stalking flies. So if you went back, if you went back 10 or 15 years ago, I think I brought back, I was looking on the internet, and I'm not one for looking ever on the internet. I don't know why. I don't know whether I was watching Graham Pulling's video at Diva Springs. I think that he might have been using like one of the original Firebird patterns, a silver Firebird. And it was quite a big fly. And I was tying, you know, a lot of flies then. So I came up with my version of that famous stalking firebird pattern. And I didn't know how many to tie, did I? Because you don't tie loads, do you? Because they might not be very successful. So I don't know, tied 5 or 10 sets. They were gone in a day or so. And then someone messaged me, I have no idea who it was, and someone said, oh, I bought some flies off you the other day, some firebirds. And I felt that it was like, oh, there was something wrong, there was a problem coming, you know. And he said, thanks very much. He said they were brilliant. I was one of the guys who developed that fly many years ago. I think with Graham Pullen. I might be wrong on that. Okay, guys. But he was so I was really chuffed with that. So that was then when you didn't have. I think probably Fully Mill might have had one, but you couldn't get stalking flies. Full stop. You know, on the internet or on eBay, you know. Now I look at some people's things, I think, wow, that's a carbon copy of my flies, you know. Yeah, quality to shit on some of them. Where I tell one of my customers gave me the nods up about a month ago, I can't think who it was. He said, Mark, you need to have a look at this guy. He said he's advertising Martyn Williams stalking flies. So the cheeky fucker. So I clicked onto it, and he was. When you clicked onto the photograph, I think the front photograph was my flies, which he had no reason, he had no, you know, I didn't give him permission to use those pictures at all. Whether I needed, I don't know. But then when you clicked onto the picture of his fly, fucking hell, they were like road kills. I took a picture of it, they were like road kills. So I messaged this guy, I said, you got till 12 o'clock noon today to alter that. I come back, oh, apologetic, oh, it wasn't me, it was my son, he put the wrong pictures on, which was a load of bollocks, wasn't it? So he took them off. But I like to think, yeah, whenever it was, maybe perhaps 15 years ago, I brought back a couple of famous, or fairly famous stalking flies that not a lot of people did then. You know, there's a few stalking flies like When All Else Fails and things like that. And I think probably like Peter Coppell used to use like weighted hares, weighted pheasant tails and lead bugs and things like that. But then I'm pretty proud and pleased to think I started the modern range of stalking flies back in the day. Wow. So let me just check these questions, guys. My eyes don't work. Richard Coton, hi Richard. So if I had to pick my top flies for my fishing uses, what I do now, number 1 and 2 is really difficult. It's a toss-up, isn't it, for me, between the black and gold stalker, which people have copied and done articles, but they mentioned my name, so that's cool. But the black and gold stalker, the standard was a 4mm, and then I made it extra heavy for the swing. So the black and gold stalker or the copper and orange. Now when I say copper and orange, the copper and orange can vary, can it? It can be, you know, copper tail, copper head, orange body. It could be copper, lead body. But so wow, that's a I can't split the black and gold, can I? Wow, copper and orange or black and gold number 1 and 2. Wow. Ooh. Oh God, that's a tough question. Let me have a slurp. Wow. Although I don't know, guys. I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to go with the black and gold. in the 4.5 extra heavy and the 4mm. The 4mm I can use as a casting fly as well, but it's still heavy. So I'm going to go as my number 1 as the black and gold stalker. Number 2, some sort of copper and orange, whether it's all copper or copper with an orange head or a copper birdie, as in I call birdie firebirds, guys. Okay, so 1 and 2, black and gold. Number 2, copper and orange. Number 3, I think, and it's a shame now we've lost Letchland, and some of the venues I fish in the winter are still clear and you can still sort of stalk, but if I had to pick a pull-in fly, would be the black leech, you know, with the yellow head, and that's available, or I do those in, you know, various sizes. But I think the big plum man, the man with the big plums, Barry Big Plums, Chad, I think he will probably agree with me that that's up there, the black leech, because of the tail length and the jet black fritz, and you know, the yellow head in various sizes, you know, from a size 8 to a 10 to a 12. I don't do 14s because the leech is a big fly, so you don't want many micro leeches, do you? You know, usually, you know, so yeah, you know, so we're back to black and gold number 1, copper of some description number 2, black leech of some description number 3. Ooh, 4 and 5 is a tough one. 4 and 5. What have we got? Oh, who's it? Steve the Curry. Steve the Curry. If you could go back in time to the year of Halford, say a kite. Oh, you gave me, Steve, some original. What did you give me, mate? Was it Kites Imperial? From the original fly tire? And you took a box of Lancaster stalkers. I wonder what they would say to you. Wow. Well, Steve, that's another good question, mate. But I think they'd probably say, what are these? What's this flash stuff? What's all this tungsten? What's these high-vis threads? What's this epoxy? That's what I think they'd say, because back in the day, they haven't seen them, they wouldn't have known them. Wouldn't it be nice to fish with some of these experts from back in the day, you know? Oh, there's a lovely smell now of like flower blossom coming over the air. It's lovely, isn't it? Lovely. But yeah, back in the day, wow. They think I was crazy, mad, should be banned. Get rid of him. The man's a nutbag, I suppose, you know. But I suppose that's how things have changed, haven't they? From like the fishing rods they used to use, and we all used to use, but certainly they used to use, from cane, you know, which back in the day that was the option, cane. Wow, now, well, I suppose some people like to use a cane rod just because that's the way they like to fish, but cane rods back compared to modern carbon rods, nasty, soft, sloppy, very soft through action, you know. But some people do like to fish with that type of thing, you know. And some people think cane rods going back 125 years are worth their weight in gold and they're brilliant. A lot of those original cane rods are made with, put together, the glue was animal fat. You take them out and get them wet, they'll fall apart, you know. But, and then what do we have? I didn't know much about, what is green heart? Is it a cane or a wood? I don't know. But I know after, is it You had cane rods, green art, and you had fiberglass. Fiberglass, I suppose, back in the day was the dog's nuts, you know, compared to cane, you know, but compared to carbon, nasty. Then you had, you know, graphite and carbon and boron. And then we've gone right through to a different type of carbon now, you know, called Syntrex. So I suppose, and fly lines back in the day, Steve, my old mucker, you know, they were silk lines. I don't know much about silk lines. I know a popular line we used to have in the tackle shop, which we sell lots of, which was the Cortland silk line, which was a mustard colour line, and it was all spotty, but it wasn't silk. It wasn't a silk line, but it was a line made to look like the old-fashioned silk line. But they were really popular. They generally came in light sizes, like 2, 3, 4, 5, I think. But the old silk lines, I hear people talking about, they had to, you know, they had to treat these lines. You know, I don't know how, but perhaps someone can let us know. They tell, you know, because they were their old silk line, whether they had to wax them or seal them or dub them or whatever. But yeah, I think the old-fashioned silk lines used to be, you know, pretty high maintenance, I think, but I don't know anything about silk lines. But yeah, and it's a bit like, still on Steve's question, like fly leaders, you know, leader material. What did we have all those years ago? Probably still had Maxima then, which is still as strong as Thor's hammer now, isn't it? You know, I think you had Platel in those days as well, and you had Bay of Pearl on, Milborough, you know, but things have changed with that as well. So yeah, good question, Steve, that. But I think if if those people you mentioned, the old school, met modern flies, rods, reels, line, leaders, backing, microbarb hooks, they well, I don't know, I don't know what they would think. I don't know really what they think. They think I was crazy with the flies, but it's how things have changed, isn't it? You know. So yeah, Steve. That's a brilliant question, mate. Brilliant question. Let me just check it, guys. But so yeah, back to the top 5 flies. I'm still on the top 5 flies, isn't I? So we done black and gold. Now that will vary in sizes, black and gold mirage, black and gold standard, whatever. Black and gold, copper of something, copper and orange, black leech, okay, whether it's pulling or what have you. That's 3. What's 4 and 5? That's tough. That's tough, Richard. 4 and 5. Well, I think 4 has got to be some sort of damsel. Now whether that's a damsel stalker or a damsel coloured leech or a standard blue flash damsel pulling fly, red flash damsel. So I think damsels is 4. So we got black and gold, copper, black leech, damsels. 5. I can think of lots of 5s, but I think I need to think on how I fish. So let's think on tough conditions which we get in the summer and when fish don't want to chase. Let's think we go over to the indicator method. Okay, so we fish static. Okay, so good static flies. 10 years ago it was the bloodworm. That would be it, job done. But bloodworm was like the static fly at Let's Lake. If you couldn't catch on the black and green, put a bloodworm on static in the same area. they do fish in the black and green leech, you catch, you know. But the bloodworm, I don't use so much now. And there was a marabou bloodworm. I think bloodworm patterns have changed. I think a lot of people use, hello pigeon, more flexy, rubbery, wriggly type patterns now. And then all this new, I'm not a big fan of these fluffy things they use, you know, these, they look like off these gloves that you clean your car with, those like lamb's tails. I'm not a fan of those, but there we are. But yeah, back in the day, bloodworms was deadly. And I used to use it. I suppose as things change, one of the best fish I ever caught was on a flexi bloodworm at Diva. Purple colour, well, hot pink it was classed. So, but the static way of fishing. Number 1, black and gold. 2, copper. 3, black leech. 4, damsel. 5, guys, I'm going to have to split in half. I can't decide between the egg, me personally, orange, or a buzzer. Because that's going with that type of method, fishing static on the indicator, guys, which is a method I use a lot, and it's used a lot all over, absolutely all over now. So that would be my 5th. So we go back, black and gold, stalker, number 1, yeah, which you can get in a long cast as well. Placey Classic, black, gold, whatever. 2, copper, again, stalker, copper firebird, copper and orange, or you get a long cast as well, because I've done that for guys who can't chuck a big fly who don't stalk. Number 3, black leech, pulling fly. Number 4, damsel, lots of options. And 5/6, egg, buzzer, because of the modern way of indicator fishing, guys. Alright, so I've had a great evening, guys, tonight. Had a busy day, guys. Yeah, busy day. Got up early, fed the cats, fed the birds, cup of tea in bed. Tied for a couple of hours, 10 o'clock, garden centre, 12 o'clock, back, tuna sandwich, a lot of mayonnaise, like more mayonnaise than tuna. Poxy till 4:15, Facebook just afterwards. Help the wife sort out, put some stuff on the internet, 5 o'clock. And then I hadn't sorted our tea out yet, so then we had those lamb truffles, they were called. Nice. Then that fillet steak kebab, which, guys, I normally wouldn't buy that, but then again, it was only 15 quid. 4 little mini fillet steaks. It's lovely. Black garlic. Still a bit in the barbina, which I kept on the heat on the hot plate aside. I'm going to be nibbling that bad boy now in a minute, don't you worry. So yeah, so guys, we are at Testwood next Saturday. I am looking forward to it again. Then June we're there again, and then we'll be back on to the other day ticket venues from July on, guys. Okay, yeah, don't forget Andy Banton's funeral is Friday the 23rd at 11:30 of May. So yeah, a couple of weeks. So if anybody wants to go to our great friend Andy Banton's funeral, okay, yeah, it's the 23rd. All right, I'll be there, and some of our crew will be there. Okay, look forward to seeing, you know, people there. But it'll be a sad day. But yeah, it'll be a sad day. But he'll be remembered really well as one of the nicest guys in fishing, and my friend. Okay, so guys, we've had a great night tonight. Glad to hear from you all right. The temperature's changing now, but I expect them sticks are still warm on the edge of the barbie. So guys, we've had a great night. Hour and 20 live, guys. I think it's whoop. Oh, see, Grandad Chris, you had to throw one in the mix then with a tequila egg. Tequila, yeah, tequila egg is a good fly. Paul would pick a tequila egg because I've done him for him and he loves that two colour thing. If I get time, I'll do some tequila eggs because they are deadly. They are deadly. But yeah, it's just an egg colour again, fishing static, and it's half yellowy chartreuse, half orange. So it's a twin colour egg. Okay, guys. So, guys, I've had a great night tonight, and see the temperature's dropping down. I think it's a lovely clear night, so it normally means it's going to be a little bit cold. So, guys, I am gonna love you and leave you now, guys. Okay, so yeah, there's some damsels went on the internet tonight. So what are we now? Tomorrow, Sunday, and then most of next week I think I'll be on damsels, guys. So that'll be the damsel selection. Full stalkers are looking good, long cast looking good, damsels are good. I didn't realize that the lures are absolutely smashed to pieces, so I think I'm going to have to do lures, anti-leeches, cats and white leeches and humongous. So that could be another 2-week project as well. But yeah, that'll happen, guys. Okay, so guys, have had a great night. Thanks to everybody for listening. Thanks to everybody who's asked questions. It's been great as ever. Speak to you in a couple of days, guys. Bye-bye for now.